can you believe we are now into the final quarter of 2022, which means two things. One, it's nearly time for the mad rush of shoppers as we get closer and closer to Christmas. And two, it's time for my quarterly profit update, where I pull up the curtain and show you my Amazon FBA business's revenues, costs, and most importantly of all, profits. That's right, unlike most other Amazon FBA gurus out there who don't show you their sales, let alone their profits, I want to give you guys the complete picture of what it's like to be an Amazon FBA seller in the current climate. The past 3 months have certainly been more challenging for me than the 3 months prior to that, and I'm not afraid of showcasing that. This is a real business that comes with highs, lows, challenges, and a lot of problem solving, and I want you guys to understand and see what's really possible given the economic conditions that we're all going through. Whilst we're on the topic of profits, if you haven't already got an accountant to help you calculate yours, then make sure you check out Awesome, who are a digital accountancy firm that specialize in Amazon FBA businesses, and they'll calculate your profit exactly to the penny if you don't know how to. So let's start off this quarterly update with the numbers that most gurus will often share if they are actually Amazon FBA sellers: sales and orders. From July to September, the number of orders that customers placed with my business came to 27,692, which was around 2,500 units higher than the previous quarter. On average, I sold around 300 units each day, which is mind-blowing given that this time last year, my daily record was around 120 units. A lot of my business's growth over the past few months and even the past year, it comes down to launching new products under my existing brands and being really focused on staying in stock as much as possible. And that is far easier said than done when you're shipping by sea and you've got to battle consistent delays. In total, I'm now selling 25 products under the 2 brands that I created when I very first started my Amazon FBA business back in 2018. As I've grown to sell more and more products on the Amazon platform, I've continued to develop my skill set as a business owner, and I've learned about the importance of outsourcing. Running PPC for 10 products, let alone 25, is incredibly time consuming and pretty overwhelming. So earlier this year, I outsourced the management of PPC for all of my products and sourced a permanent image editor to help design my images for all products that I launched. Both of these saved me a ton of time and allowed me to focus on the most important thing, which is growing my business and staying as profitable as possible. Total revenues for the last 3 months came to £415,000, with July being responsible for nearly half of that, coming in at around 170k, which is crazy. The average order value from Amazon customers came to £15, which was in line with the last quarter, and it's an amount that I'm happy with, as it's not a price that's too high and results in customers delaying the decision making when it comes to making a purchase. But at the same time, it's not so low that the profit per unit is negligible. So that's sales and orders out of the way. Let's now get into the nitty-gritty and talk about my costs. Of the £415,000 in revenues, just under 65k goes straight to the taxman in the form of VAT. VAT is a tax that I've paid since I pretty much started selling, so whilst I have gotten used to it, it's still a real annoyance to pay. In order to help drive conversion, sales, and a good rank position, I frequently run 7-day deals and I provide customers with coupons on many of my products. Running a 7-day deal on Amazon has a fee of £50 per deal, and offering coupons gives a charge of around 50p per reclaimed coupon. So in total, all of my deal and coupon costs came to £1,500, with total discounts of around £7,000, given over the entire period. Running deals on Amazon really does help you to retain the edge of your competition and keep your sales high, which helps fuel your organic rank position and gets you lots more profitable sales in the weeks where you aren't running a deal. So whilst they do cost you to run in Amazon fees and they'll cost you in profitability because you're selling at a lower price point, they are completely worth it. So if you're an Amazon seller, I highly recommend that you run 7-day deals and offer coupons at least once a month. Next up, we have Amazon's fees, which comprise of referral fees, so Amazon's commission for each sale made, and fulfillment fees, which are Amazon's charges for packing and posting the product to the customer. In total, I spent £64,000 on referral fees and £65,000 on fulfillment fees, both of which come to around 30% of my revenues, which is pretty typical for anybody selling on Amazon. As an Amazon FBA seller, you're going to need to advertise your product in order to generate sales, no matter how long you've been on the platform. Over the last quarter, I spent £56,000 on advertising my products to customers on Amazon, and that comes to around 15% of my net revenue. Whilst this was slightly lower than the previous quarter, it's still higher than I'd like overall, so I'm working really hard with my PPC manager to focus on bringing those costs down. Advertising on Amazon is very much a necessary evil because although it is painful having to pay for it in the short term, in the long run, it helps boost your overall profits because it allows you to get more sales, more reviews, and ultimately more profit as your page rank increases. In order to protect your profit as much as possible, you should try your best to keep your long-term advertising spend between 10 to 15% of your total sales figures. In order to benefit from what can be quite a high amount of expenditure on advertising, I really recommend that you change your Amazon settings so that your credit card is billed instead of your balance being deducted by Amazon. And when I say credit card, I don't mean any old card, I mean the Capital on Tap credit card, which gives you 1% of your expenditure back in cash. Over the past 3 months, I earned £680 in cash back just from my PPC spend, so it's well worth doing. I'll put a link to apply for your card in the description box below, and if you use my referral code, you'll get £100 credited to your account. The final bucket before we go onto my own costs are the reimbursements that Amazon makes as a result of them losing your stock or customers not returning refunded purchases. These came to £1,800, which I'm pretty pleased with, especially as it was a company called Getida that helped me make some of the claims. The process with a company like Getida is really straightforward. You provide them with certain permissions via your Amazon account, they check what you're eligible for, make the claim for you, and then take a proportion of what they claim back if they're successful. A really handy service that I'd recommend that you do, especially if you can't be bothered to do it yourself. Let's now move on to my own costs, with the first bucket being the total cost of stock, the landed cost that I sold over the period. So over the last 3 months, my landed cost of stock came to £118,000. And when I say landed cost, that refers to my product's manufacturing costs, duties, taxes, and shipping charges. Whilst that figure is a pretty sizable investment and it might seem unachievable to you now, it's something that I've grown over the years from an initial investment of £3,500. And I've been able to do that because I've kept reinvesting my profits over and over and over in order to grow my business as quickly as possible. Now, other costs that I incurred over the last 3 months were storage costs at £1,500 and then my PPC agency fees of £2,500. That pretty much covers all of the costs incurred by me outside of Amazon, which I think is a great way to advertise just how powerful this business model is. There's no rent, staff costs, lease costs, and so on. Awesome. So now we've run through orders, revenues, and expenses. that brings me to my profit and my return on investment. In total, over the past 3 months, profit came to £41,000, which is a 36% return on my investment, which I don't think is pretty bad for 3 months' work, especially in this environment. Whilst my revenues were quite a bit higher this quarter versus the last one, if you saw my last earnings report, you'll note that my profit actually stayed more or less the same. And the reason for that was the decline in the value of the pound, which has essentially pushed up my costs for no reason at all. This is something that's impacted every single business that imports into the UK, and given that it happened rather rapidly, I was caught off guard. I've since increased my prices to account for this, and we'll have to see how customers react, which I will talk about in my next earnings update. So make sure that you guys are subscribed so that you don't miss out on that. Hopefully you enjoyed my latest profit update and it's given you the encouragement to get started with Amazon FBA. There is still plenty of opportunity and reward on the table. So if you'd like to come on board and have me as your mentor and your guide, check out the Smashers Academy. There's a link in the description below this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.